welcome to a Sunday night edition of the Glen Kuiper Show here on my YouTube channel. We have what is going to be a very busy show. We're going to cover a whole bunch of stuff. We're going to talk about the new managers around baseball. We're going to do our first National League West off-season preview. We're going to look at the Arizona Diamondbacks. Where there's some stuff that we want to hear from. All this new manager stuff, is they going to be able to pull it off with all these new managers with no experience? We're going to talk about that. And we're going to look at the Niners game this afternoon against the Rams. So we'll have an NFL segment as well. So it's a busy show. We're looking forward to it. And you know the drill. As always, I love the subscribers. The list is growing daily, big time. But when we're doing a show, we love the comments. So get them in there. And I will check in with the comments after each segment. So let's get rolling here. Tomorrow is the general managers meetings. That's the Major League Baseball general managers meetings. It starts tomorrow in Las Vegas. What it really is each team's baseball decision makers, they get together. They go down there. It's not the winter meetings. The winter meetings that's the big deal when free agents are signed in. This is the general managers meetings. What usually happens here is, all these baseball decision makers get together, lots of meetings, lots of names thrown around, a lot of groundwork put in place for possible trades, maybe when they get to the winter meetings or maybe after that or before that. But so yeah, you get all the decision makers together at a hotel in Las Vegas, and a lot of things are thrown out there, a lot of ideas. So that's what's starting tomorrow in Las Vegas. The general managers meetings in Major League Baseball usually lasts about 3 days. You don't necessarily see trades coming out of there. It does happen occasionally, but again, it's more just a lot of talk. Check in with teams, who's available, who's not available. So that's what will happen in the next 3 days in Las Vegas. And then the winter meetings, that's December 8th through the 11th, and that is in Orlando. And that's really when kind of the entire baseball industry gets together, including agents and owners, and everybody's there. So that's the winter meetings. That's coming up in about a month. So general managers meetings starting tomorrow. Winter meeting starting on December 8th. And between then, there will be some baseball action, but that's what's coming up. So it'll be fun to catch some rumors coming out of those two meetings. And we always certainly look forward to that. So speaking of rumors, let's get to the Giants coaching staff, since that's a fairly important thing. In fact, it's a very important thing with a new manager and all that. Digging around, talking to people, but not hearing necessarily a lot of rumors about names that are out there for the San Francisco Giants and Tony Vitello. Now, you look at the Giants coaching staff last year, and this is what they had. They had a third base coach, they had a first base coach, they had a hitting coach, they had two assistant hitting coaches, they had a pitching coach, they had an assistant pitching coach, they had a bench coach, a bullpen coach, a catcher's coach, a quality control coach. Okay, so that's a lot. Okay, but let's concentrate on. I'm not going to worry about the quality control coach. Nothing against them. The catching coach. Not going to worry about that. So far, holdovers from Bob Melvin's staff. None so far. We do know that Ryan Christensen is gone, the bench coach. In fact, Ryan Christensen got hired by the A's, going back to the A's. So glad to see Rhino getting a job. But he's gone. Matt Williams, the third base coach, is gone. JP Martinez, the pitching coach, is gone. He is going to the Atlanta Braves. Garvin Alston, good guy, Garvin. He's the bullpen coach. He is not going to be back next year. Damon Miller, Damon Minor, one of the assistant hitting coaches, he will not be back. And Pat Burrell, the main hitting coach for the Giants, the reports are that he is not going to be back, although it sounds like the Giants may keep him in the organization to possibly do something else. But it does not look like he's going to be back as the main hitting coach. So that right there, that's 6 guys from Bob Melvin's staff that will not be kept. Couple of holdovers, Mark Hallberg, who was the first base coach. He's also been the third base coach. We saw him. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Hallberg is kept around, and maybe I could see him being the third base coach. I don't know that for a fact, but that's certainly a possibility. Oscar Bernard, the assistant hitting coach, we have not heard anything about him not being brought back yet. But again, so there's a lot of reports about who's not coming back. But really, the only addition so far to Vitello's staff is Chase Tingler, who was brought in. That report came out a couple of days ago. Not exactly what he was going to be doing. Most people feel like he'll be the bench coach, but we don't know that for sure. So really, Tingler's the only guy that's been added so far. And as I mentioned, the list of names the people who are gone. So a lot of work to do with that staff yet. I think that we're going to start this week. Wouldn't surprise me if we start hearing names trickling in about the Vitello staff and who he's going to have there in the dugout with him. And, there may be some surprises. Like I said, the people I've talked to dug around a little bit, but Giants have been pretty secretive about who they've talked to as far as jobs. So we're all really curious to see how this Giants coaching staff is going to round out. But as of right now, it's really Tingler's the only guy that we know that has been added. So we're just going to sit and wait on that and see what happens with this Giants coaching staff. And we have said that it is a very important thing. With the manager who has never managed at any professional level. We know the whole story, and I think everybody agrees that it is important who they bring in. So we'll keep a close eye on that. Wish we had more to report on there, but that's all that I know as of right now. So that gets us to our next segment, and I did a little research on this, and I found it interesting because we know Vitello, we know his story. And now there's more managers being hired, right? So there's 9 managerial openings in Major League Baseball. 8 of them have been filled. The Colorado Rockies are the only team that has not filled their manager opening just yet. So of the 8 guys that have been hired, let's look at this because a lot of the talk is about, is this a new thing now, hiring guys without any major league experience as a manager? Okay. It's not uncommon, but now you're getting some guys who haven't even had a managerial experience in the minor leagues. So is this a new thing? Well, let's find out. But first, let's look at the new guys. We know Vitello's story, first time, 47 years old. We've been through that. Let's look at the other guys, though. The Angels hired Kurt Suzuki, 42 years old. So a young guy. This is his first time being a manager at any level. He was in the front office for a couple years with the Angels, but never managed in the minor leagues, and obviously has never managed in the major leagues. So there's another guy that's falling into this category. Craig Albernez with the Baltimore Orioles, first time as a major league manager. Now he has certainly been a coach in the major leagues. He was with Stephen Vogt, and he was with the Giants for 4 years as a major league coach. And he was a minor league manager with the Rays. So Albernez, first time as a big league manager. He does have a little bit of minor league managerial experience, and he does have coaching experience at the major league level. Next up is the Padres, and this was a kind of a surprise hire. Greg Stammen, who a couple of years ago, he was pitching for the Padres, right? Pretty good right-handed reliever. So where does Stammen fall into this category? Well, he's 41 years old. He was with the Padres a couple years right after retiring in the front office, but this is his first time managing again at any level. Never, obviously, front office for 2 years since retiring, and that's it. That's it. So never been a manager in the big leagues, obviously. Never been a manager in the minor leagues. Never been a coach at the major league level. So, that's kind of this new thing that everybody's talking about. So let's get to the Nationals. The Nationals hire the young man, Blake Butera, 33 years old. He has been a minor league manager. In fact, he started managing in the minor leagues at the age of 25. But obviously, at 33, he does not have any major league managerial experience. But he did manage in the minor leagues for quite a while with the Rays. And as I said, he started at a very young age. But he's never been on a major league staff. He's never been on a major league staff. He's never been a major league manager, but he has been a manager at the minor league level. So those are the 5 guys of the new managers that all kind of different experience, but none have been a major league manager. So they're all first-time managers. And as I said, some have never been a manager in the minor leagues. Some have never been on a coaching staff in the major leagues. Some have managed in the minor leagues. So the 3 other managers that have been hired, Walt Weiss with the Braves, we all know about Walt Weiss. He was a manager with the Rockies for 4 years. And then he's been a bench coach in Atlanta for quite a while. So Walt Weiss, who's now 61 years old, he knows what it's all about being a manager. He did it for 4 years again in a tough spot with the Rockies, never an easy place. So for Walt Weiss, it's his second time as a manager. The Twins took Derek Shelton. Remember, Derek Shelton was a manager for the Pirates for 5.5 years. So Shelton, this is his second time being a manager. A longtime big league hitting coach. So he's been a coach at the big league level. He's been a manager at the big league level. Bench coach. He was a bench coach with the Twins before he got the job in Pittsburgh. And now he's going back to Minnesota to be the manager. So Derek Shelton. So he's got, some history as a big league manager very recently. So none of this will be new to him. And then the Rangers got Skip Schumacher. And Schumacher has been a manager at the big league level as well. A couple years in Miami, 2023 and 2024 for Schumacher. He was working in the front office in Texas after, last year after leaving Miami. But he's got a couple years of managerial experience. So you got Weiss, Shelton, and you got Schumacher, who all do have some managerial experience at the big league level, unlike the first 5 guys that we talked about. So that got me thinking about, so much talk about, is this going to work? What are we worried about these guys? So I said, well, what about the guys who are the longest tenured managers in the big leagues right now? So the 4 longest tenured managers in the big leagues right now are Kevin Cash with the Rays, 11 years. Dave Roberts with the Dodgers, 10 years. Torey Lovullo, 9 years with the Diamondbacks. And Aaron Boone, 8 years with the Yankees. Those are your longest guys who've been around, the longest, okay? So I wanted to find out what were those guys doing when they started, okay? Because there's so much talk and concern about, well, these guys have never managed in the big leagues, and oh my gosh, is it going to work? Is it going to work with Vitello? And, do these guys know how to handle all this? So I looked this up. Kevin Cash, the longest tenured manager in the major leagues right now. When he got the job, he was 36 years old. No major league managerial experience. He was a major league bullpen coach for a couple of years, Kevin Cash. No minor league managerial experience. He went from player to bullpen coach for 2 years and then got hired as a major league manager. So the guy who has been the manager the longest right now in the major leagues, before he got that job, he had never managed in the minor leagues and he had never managed in the major leagues, and he got the job at the age of 36. Longest tenured manager right now. That's Kevin Cash. Okay. I don't know if they were worried about that when Cash got the job. I'm sure they were. But again, he had no professional managerial experience, a coach for 2 years. Next up is Dave Roberts. Dave Roberts has been the manager of the Dodgers now for 10 years. Wow, that doesn't seem that long, but Roberts has got himself 3 World Series trophies. Had a terrific World Series managing the win over the Blue Jays. So what happened when he got the job? When he got the job, he was 43 years old. He was a first-time manager. So no managerial experience at the big league level, no managerial experience at the minor league level. He was a major league coach for a couple years with the Padres. So he didn't have any managerial experience in the minors or the majors. So the top 2 tenured managers right now, when they got hired, had never managed in the minor leagues and never managed in the major leagues. Okay. Next on the list is Torey Lovullo. He's been there for 9 years in Arizona. Interesting, he was 51 years old when he got hired, so a little bit older than the other guys, not a huge amount. He was a minor league manager for a period of time, and he was an interim manager at the major league level for about a month and a half with the Boston Red Sox. So he had a little bit of time as a major league manager, but only on an interim basis. He had been a minor league manager for a period of time. So he had a little bit of minor league managerial experience, and I shouldn't say a little bit. He was a manager for a while, and then a small amount of time filling in for, I believe it was John Farrell with the Red Sox. And Torey Lovullo now has been with the Diamondbacks, very good manager for 9 years, so going on his 10th year. So the 4th longest tenured manager in the major leagues right now is Aaron Boone, 8 years with the Yankees. So what was Boone's experience when he got hired by the Yankees? Tough job, right? He was 44 years old. He had 0 managerial experience in the minor leagues, and he had 0 managerial experience in the major leagues when he got hired to manage the New York Yankees. So 3 of the 4 longest tenured managers in the major leagues right now, 3 out of the 4 had 0 experience managing in the minor leagues and had 0 experience managing at the major league level when they got hired. So that surprised me a little bit, but then it made me think, well, they've done that. It's happened before. It seems like it's becoming a bigger deal now, but it happens. It has happened before. We just went through it. And all those guys have had, Kevin Cash has had a ton of success, 11 years. Dave Roberts, a ton of success, 10 years. Torey Lovullo, I mean, people will tell you he's one of the best managers out there. And Aaron Boone handling what he's handling in New York every year, superstars, dealing with clubhouses and all that. All these guys are very good major league managers. Now, they probably surrounded themselves with good coaching staffs. But my point is, if those 4 guys with the small amount of experience they had managing, there's no reason why the guys that got hired in the last 3 weeks to a month, the 5 guys that I named, Vitello, Suzuki, Alvarez, Stammen, Butera, they're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. I guess, does that mean they're going to win the pennant? No, but what I'm saying is maybe we shouldn't be so worried about the lack of managerial experience at the big league level. Maybe it's being blown a little out of proportion. Surround yourself with good people, and there's no reason why you can't be a very good manager. And we've seen it from the four longest tenured managers in baseball who, when they took their jobs, they did not have hardly any experience managing. So it can be done. It can be done very successfully. And there's no reason to think why that Vitello and those other gentlemen that they're doing this for the first time, there's no reason to think they won't be successful managers, because their front offices saw something in them that figured they could handle it. So anyways, I thought it was interesting. I thought it was interesting with the four managers that have been around the longest, and how they didn't have any experience either, and they've turned out just fine. So I thought that was interesting. I think it's something to think about. I'm going to check in with the comments on this in just a moment, but first I want to get to, as always, our sponsors. You know how this works. The Glen Kuiper Show is brought to you by the Kehrig Real Estate Team. Kehrig Real Estate Team has been around since 1978. They've been helping families buy and sell homes across the Bay Area with a legacy of client-first service. Whether you're moving up, downsizing, or buying that first home, trust the Kehrig Real Estate Team to guide you home. I worked with the Kehrig Real Estate Team. My brother did. My niece and my nephew did. They are awesome people. They get it done, whether you want to buy a home or sell a home. So give them a call at 925-548-4132. Glen Kuiper Show also brought to you by Tilden Properties. As an investor, one of the best places to put your money is California's multi-family real estate. By investing with Tilden Properties, you'll see quarterly dividends and equity buildup in the real estate market. My wife and I are going in to the investments with Tilden Properties. So I can tell you, we're doing it. We're doing it. They're Bay Area based, family owned. They get it done, and they take great care of their investors multiple ways, including financially. Give them a call, 925-209-8558. And we're also brought to you by Valone Insurance. Are you tired of being overcharged on your property insurance? Valone Insurance has multiple options for your home and landlord properties. So save big money on your property insurance. Call Kyle or Ron at Valone Insurance, 925-433-8271. Thanks, as always, to my terrific sponsors. All right, let's check in with our comments section, see how everybody's doing tonight, and kind of see how they feel about what I've thrown out there so far, which we like to do that. Let's check comments. Here we go. All right. Bake That Dough's checking in early. We appreciate that. What do you make of the trend back to younger, less experienced managers from the old school types? Pendulum seems to swing every few years. Yeah, I think it does a little bit, but I think now I think it's happening more. As the last segment I just talked about. There's going to be 9 new managers. That's almost a third of the teams in the big leagues will have new managers, and many of them will be doing this for the first time. And I know if you look at all the managers in baseball right now, there's very few of the, you want to say, old school managers, and I don't want to say old school because I'm thinking about age, but it's more about experience. Most of the managers now, their experience level is, maybe, I talked about the guys that don't have any experience, but there's a whole long list of managers that 2, 3, 4 years of experience. That's where most of them are at experience-wise. So yeah, I think I don't know that it's even a pendulum. I think it's a swing toward younger guys. Maybe in the Giants case, I really feel like Buster wanted somebody kind of in his wheelhouse, maybe even a little bit age-wise, to go into this thing together. But I don't know if it's a pendulum swing or if it's just this is the way it's going to be. This may be the new thing in Major League Baseball. Younger managers, maybe a little less experience, maybe general managers and baseball people, maybe they're starting to look for something else when it comes to managers. I don't know. But it's a fair question. I think it is happening. Whatever happened to the girl who was on Kapler's staff? Yeah, she got a job with Alyssa Naked. She got a job with another team, and I don't remember who it was. May have been Cleveland. But yeah, she did. She was sharp, man. I mean, she was fun to talk baseball with. Super nice lady. Uh, Good baseball mind. I mean, she was an asset. But I believe I know she got a job with another team, and I believe that it was Cleveland. But I'm not 100% sure. But I do know that she did get on with another team, which is good. Is that right? Yeah. All right. Bake that dosage. Yeah. She coaches with the Guardians. So very nice lady, very smart baseball mind. So I'm glad she's out there. Probably need more of that. I'm nervous that the coaching staff isn't finalized yet, but I'm glad that Posey's doing exactly what he needed to do. He got a 12-month look at the club and gave everyone the benefit of the doubt. That's a good point, JBAU. I like that point because I think there's truth to that. I know the times I've talked to Buster, when you take over a job, it's a big job, right? I mean, you're in charge of the big league team, but you got, minor leagues, and you got you got people that are coming to you and people that are reporting to you. It's a big job. And I know he takes it obviously very serious, but he also knows that I got a lot to learn. And I think you're right. I think he did use the 2025 season to observe, see things he liked, see things he didn't like. And I think that's probably the right way to go about it. And now you start putting your fingerprints on the team. I think it's hard to do that until you've kind of sat back, watched, and learned some things about your organization. You got to be patient. It's hard to, but he got a chance to make a big trade with Devers, and he made it. But I would agree with it. I wouldn't worry too much about the coaching staff. It wouldn't surprise me if they got guys lined up. But you have to get contracts signed, and you have to let holdovers know what's happening with them. So it's there's a little bit more to it. But they need to make sure they get this right. So, and listen, I don't know that any of the other, does Kurt Suzuki have his whole staff, down in Anaheim? I think it takes a while. You're not just hiring 3 or 4 guys anymore. Now you're hiring 5 or 6 guys. And, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. And I do agree with you. I think Buster has watched, and the things he don't like, he's going to change. And, whether we agree with the changes or not, I would rather have somebody who's assertive and who isn't scared to make changes than somebody who is scared to do it, because you're afraid what if it doesn't work? Well, then you're never, ever going to have success. So we'll see if the changes are good ones, but at least they're not afraid to make changes. And, listen, that's a good thing. As a Dodger fan, I enjoy listening to you. I like the fact that you're going to talk about the Rams and the 40. Yes, I am. I'm going to get to that. That'll be my final segment. We're trying to do an NFL segment once a week, but we will get to the Rams. And I appreciate the fact that you enjoy listening to me. And I know you're a Dodger fan. And, of course, we don't like the Dodgers. But I will say this. I have a lot of respect for the Dodgers. They do a lot of things right. And you know what? They're allowed to spend money. They make money, and they're not doing anything wrong. They're not doing anything illegal. And you know what? They play the game the right way. So, you got to respect that. And I don't believe in wasting a ton of energy on disliking other teams. I would rather use that energy to enjoy the teams that I do like, if that makes any sense. So let's see. Any news on Giants coaching staff? As I said in the first segment of the show, just the fact that Tingler's the guy, right? He's the only guy they've added so far. Like I said, I've dug around, made some phone calls, and it's pretty tight-lipped. We know who's not coming back, and I think we'll start to hear some things probably this week. So just hang in there on that one. So, Vitello has College World Series. Melvin has, yeah. Unfortunately, Bob had I don't know if I hope he keeps managing. I like Bob. And I wanted to say something about Bob Melvin. And I know I've on this show I've stuck up for him many times. And I know people have said, well, you're sticking up. Well, here's the thing: is you got to understand that when you know somebody personally, yeah, you probably do stick up for them more than somebody who you don't know personally. And I know Bob well; he's a wonderful man. So, but when you know somebody personally, then there's more to the person than just how many games did he win and lose? Or why did he take out that reliever and put that one in? Or why did he take the pitcher out? I would have never pinch ran. That was a stupid move. So I get that from a fan's perspective. I do. But I hope people understand that when you know somebody deeper than just, oh, he's the manager. And yeah, he writes out the lineup card. That's fine. I mean, you realize that I'm not going to judge the person solely on should he have pinch run or not. There's more to the person than that when you know them, and I hope you understand that. And I've been kind of wanted to throw that out there, and yeah, it's just the way it is when you know somebody a little bit. So I think you folks will understand that. Oh, I'm expecting a big trade from the Giants for sure, like Lee or Ramos may get dealt, maybe even Eldridge. I don't think Eldridge is going anywhere. I think you could float. I think you could float Ramos out there. Jung-Hoo Lee. I don't know if anybody would take that contract. I think you could get something for Ramos if you decided to go that route. Pretty good young player. And I've said this all along. I like Elliot Ramos. He's got a lot of upside offensively, but there's mistakes that he makes that he needs to correct, and I hope that he can do that. If he can do that, he can become a really good player. But I'm just not 100% sure that he's the kind of player that the Giants are looking for in the outfield, because they're trying to get better defensively. They're trying to get speed. They're trying to get more aggressive on the bases. They're trying to strike out less. So is there another player out there that fits those characteristics better than Ramos that you could get? I don't know. I'm not saying they should trade him. I'm just saying I'm not 100% sold that he's the exact type of player that the Giants are looking for in their outfield, if that makes any sense. So one more, and then we'll move on. The one thing that Robert Spoon Lavello did have was major league experience as a player. That's true. I'm not saying Tony Vitello can't be good, but having big league experience does matter. Yeah, that's fair. I think that's fair. They were all, players at different levels, at different talent levels. But yeah, they all played in the major leagues. But again, not all managers played in the big leagues either. But yeah, I mean, you get a feel for how a clubhouse works. But I just feel, and I really do think this, that the Giants guy Vitello is extremely sharp. He's extremely smart, and I think he's going to figure it out quickly, and he's going to get it. And guys who get it, they get it, they figure it out, and they know how to navigate through that. And I think it's going to be fascinating to watch. I can't wait to get to spring training just to see how it's going, I guess is one way to put it. But I do. I'll go on record saying I think Vitello is going to be fine, and I think it's going to be a big success. I really do feel that way. All right, let's get a super chat from Bake That Dough. If little reason to think unexperienced managers won't be successful, begs the question, how much of a difference does a manager make in wins and losses? That's that's sort of that unanswered question, right? Um, yeah, I think they do. Um, I think they do in ways that maybe you don't realize. I think there has to be, you got to keep the team together. You got to get guys to play hard for 162. You got to communicate with players. You got to know how to communicate with players. There's so many things that go into being a manager that don't include, oh boy, why is he hitting that guy in the lineup? Or again, why did he take that guy out? Because a lot of times a manager will make what looks like the right decision, but if a reliever comes in and doesn't have it that night, it may have been technically the right decision, but the guy just didn't have it. So you rely a lot on your talent, the players you have. But that's sort of one of those long time baseball sports questions. How much does a manager really make a difference in wins and losses? How much does an NFL coach make a difference? How much does an NBA coach make a difference? I don't know that there's an exact answer for that. But it's one of those great sports questions that you can kick around. You can just kick around. And but I think there's a lot to being a Major League Baseball manager above and beyond just, on the dugout railing and looking at your lineup card and making a pitching change. There's a lot more to it than that. So anyways, all right, let's go on to our next segment. Hold on, let me get going here. So what I want to do this month leading up to the winter meetings, okay, which again are the first, or December 8th, I think I said, when teams start making trades and now people, teams are talking. What I wanted to do is I wanted to do a National League West kind of off-season preview of each team. Just kind of go over the team. What are they looking for? What do they need? What do they don't need? And we like to concentrate on the National League West, where the Giants are at. So I'm going to do one of these once a week with the 5 teams in the West, kind of leading up to those winter meetings when things start to happen and free agents start to sign and trades are made. So I wanted to start that tonight. I think it's kind of fun. And I wanted to start with the Arizona Diamondbacks. So you can give me your thoughts on the Diamondbacks if you want. I'll tell you what I think is going to happen for them in this offseason or what they may need. 80 and 82 last year for the Diamondbacks, 3 games out of that wild card spot. We've seen them in the postseason a couple years ago. Could not do it this year. You look at their season, injuries to the pitching staff, Corbin Burns, that's a huge loss. And then they got to the trade deadline and they had some players that teams wanted. And they traded Merrill Kelly, pretty good starting pitcher. They traded Gino Suarez, big power hitting third baseman. They traded Josh Naylor. They traded Shelby Miller. They traded Randall Grichuk. So they unloaded a lot of guys at the trade deadline, which kind of told you, maybe how they were feeling, that they just didn't think they had enough this year. So you make a lot of trades. This team is interesting to me. They have their core position players are really good. Corbin Carroll's terrific. These are all-star players. Ketel Marte's an all-star player. Perdomo, the shortstop, he should be an MVP candidate. So you think about just those 3 guys right there. You got an outfielder, you got a second baseman, and you got a shortstop who are all-star caliber players. So they have a nice core there to build with. They got a pretty good catcher, and Gabriel Moreno, young guy. They got a very hotshot prospect in Jordan Lawler. So they got Gurriel, who will be coming back mid-year. So they have some stuff offensively in their lineup. And this is a team that scored the 4th most runs in the National League last year. So it's a team that was dangerous, but we are now talking about what is going to happen now, this offseason, as they look forward to 2026 and what kind of team they're going to have. Okay, that's kind of what we're talking about here. So they're going to lose Zach Gallen. He's a free agent. And I told you the guys that they traded, including Merrill Kelly. So that's a couple of good starting pitchers. The injury thing with Corbin Burns, he may be back mid-season, he hopes. But this is a guy who's got 5 years on $170 million left on a contract. So they need Corbin Burns. So the offense is pretty good. The pitching was not great last year. This is where the issue comes in, I think, for the Arizona Diamondbacks going into 2026. You're not going to have Burns until maybe midseason. Kelly and Gallen are both going to be gone unless they were to sign back with Arizona, but I don't know. I doubt that that's going to happen. The reason I say that is because, according to the reports and things I've read, the owner of the Diamondbacks, Ken Kendrick, has said that we are going to reduce spending for 2026. Fans, you hate to hear that when the owner says we're going to reduce spending, but their payroll was a franchise record this year, $187 million. So if that holds true and the owner says we are going to reduce payroll, didn't say how much, but they're going to reduce it. Okay. That does not bode great for the Diamonds because what they really need, they need pitching. Okay. They're going to lose the guys that I mentioned. So who do they have coming back? Brandon Fought. Giants fought a fair amount. 33 starts last year. They got Eduardo Rodriguez, the soft tossing left-hander. He made 29 starts last year. So there's your start. The problem there is both of those guys had ERAs over 5. And both of those guys are not aces or 1s or 2s. They're probably legitimately 4s and 5s as far as rotation spots. Ryan Nelson, a young kid who made 33 starts. But again, they don't have the guy, right? Corbin Burns, when healthy, was the guy, but he didn't pitch much and he got hurt. So they need to get pitching. They also need a third baseman, and they're going to need an outfielder as well. Gurriel, who's a pretty good outfielder, but he hurt his knee last year, had surgery. He's not expected back till the middle of the season. So the Diamondbacks really probably need a couple outfielders. Now, we've seen the Diamondbacks a lot. They got a couple guys, Alec Thomas, Joe McCarthy, a couple of great defensive outfielders. We've seen them track balls down against the Giants like we were like, oh, my God, how did he catch that? Terrific defenders, but they don't hit much. And it'll be interesting to see if the Diamondbacks, but they're both arbitration eligible. Will the Diamondbacks bring them back? I don't know because they just don't hit enough, but they play terrific defense. So Diamondbacks are going to need an outfielder or two. They're going to need a third baseman unless the Lawler kid, who's a middle infielder, could play third. They also talked about maybe having him see if he could play the outfield. Jordan Lawler. He's a right-handed hitter, very high prospect. He's been in the big league some. They'll have to figure out what to do with him, but the pitching is still the issue. They are going to need to get a couple starters. So if you need a couple starters, and their bullpen was bad last year, so they're going to need to rebuild their bullpen. Okay. So you need a third baseman, you need an outfielder, you need a couple starting pitchers, but not you need good ones. They need a 1 or a 2. Very difficult to get. You may not be able to do that. And you need some bullpen guys. Okay. The reason I think that's going to be very difficult for them is because the owner said we're going to reduce payroll. So the only way to do it then is, are you going to trade anybody? Who are you going to trade? You're not going to trade Corbin Carroll. Marte, I doubt it. Perdomo, no. He's got a long-term contract, but it's pretty cheap. Lawler, big prospect. Looks like he could be a good player. Maybe you dangle him out there for a starting pitcher. I don't know. I'm just telling you, I don't know what they're going to do, but this is what they need. So when you keep an eye on the Arizona Diamondbacks this year, keep an eye on this offseason, I should say, what they need and how can they get it. I think that's the issue that is around the Diamondbacks. uh, because the owner says we're not going to spend more money, we're going to spend less. Well, then you got to trade. And, you want somebody good, you're going to have to trade somebody good. I mean, we all know how that works, right? So I think it's going to be, it's not going to be an easy off season for Arizona to try to get to improve their club in the areas where it needs improvement. So let's watch them close, see what they can do, but they need to get starting pitching. And a lot of teams do, I mean, the Giants need starting pitching, but the difference there is the Giants, their owner has not come out and said, we're reducing our spending. A lot of teams need pitching, but it's hard to get. And if you're going to trade for it, you're going to have to trade somebody good. And so I think they're in a tough spot, to be honest with you. The division's not easy. We know that, but we have seen the Diamondbacks be able to get to the postseason a couple years ago. But, they don't have Burns for the first half of the season. And the pitching that they have coming back is just average. So that's our season, our off-season preview of the Arizona Diamondbacks. What they need, how could they get it, and will they be able to get it? Those are the three questions that you got to ask yourself. And it just seems like it could be difficult for Arizona to get what they need to go to the next level and get to 85, 86, 87, maybe 88 wins. But they are a scrappy team. We have seen that, and they play hard, and the offense is pretty good. The offense can score runs, and they have great speed, and they play aggressive baseball. They do a lot of things that I like as a team. But at this point, they're short with their pitching staff, and we'll see, how they can change that if they can this offseason. So that's our look at the Arizona Diamondbacks and their offseason preview. Again, we'll look at a team from the National League West, one team per week, leading right up to the winter meetings in early December, and we'll see how close we are with our off-season preview with these teams. So, anyways, good segment. I appreciate that. Let's check in with a few comments to see what they feel about. Let's see. We got a couple questions here. Okay. Mr. Kuiper, what's your schedule streaming? Well, we like to do, we were doing a Tuesday show, a Thursday show. Sometimes we do a Monday. Tonight, wanted to do it because I wanted to do an NFL show about the Niners. But we'll always, whatever day we're doing it, we'll always get something out on X, on Twitter, and let you know, hey, tonight we're doing a show. Tomorrow we're doing a show. This is what time it's on. But I'm trying to lock in on a couple days a week, do 2 live shows a week, maybe 3 again. But things come up where this night may work better than that night. But I will always let you know at least a day ahead of time, when a live show is coming on. So I appreciate that. Let's see. Mr. Hankey says, your quick thoughts on the Sacramento A's. I have 0 thoughts on the Sacramento A's, so I can't really help you there much. I've heard an adage that a truly great manager can only win you about 5 games you otherwise wouldn't have, but a truly awful one can lose you 20. Well, there may be truth to that. A really, really bad manager is going to do more damage than a really good manager is going to help you have success. There's probably some truth to that. Yeah, that's good, though. I like that one. All right, so let's go to our final segment. And like I said, I'm trying this out, doing a NFL segment. Some people said, yeah, it's great. They like the NFL segment. So let's do it. We've done a couple so far. I'm going to try to do 1 a week. I love the NFL, as I've told you guys. I love it. I don't trust the NFL. I think they do things that are a little dirty. But I'm guilty. I watch every Sunday. I can't wait. So let's talk about that Niners game today. Rams 42, Niners 26. I don't know that I'm totally surprised by the outcome of this. Rams are playing really well. Rams are really good. The Niners just banged up. You feel like they're just hanging on here, trying to get maybe a little bit more healthy. But this is a Rams team that came in playing well, and you could see it right away that this was going to be a very difficult afternoon, for the Niners. So a final score 42-26. You remember these two teams met in week 5, right? Down in Los Angeles. And it was a terrific game. And the 49ers won 26-23 in overtime. Remember the Niners, they got 2 big defensive plays, a defensive stop in overtime, a fumble at the goal line. And really that won the game for him. And you felt like it was just a huge win, a road win within the division. They're all huge. But you also got the feeling like the Rams walked off the field going, how did we just lose that game? That's the feeling I had for the Rams after the game. I was happy for the Niners because they kind of snuck out of there with one. But that was, 5 weeks ago, and a little different circumstances tonight or this afternoon with the Niners obviously banged up and the Rams, just rolling along. But just running through the game a little bit. Listen, you could tell early on that this was going to be a struggle. I mean, the Rams, first drive, 10 plays, 64 yards, touchdown. Second drive, 7 plays, 86 yards, touchdown. And then the Niners fumble, and LA goes right back to. So you felt like, oh my gosh, he was clicking, man. 21-0, just like that. But to the credit of the Niners, they ground back into this thing. They were able to stay close, or get it close, 21-7 at half. So as they always seem to do, take a couple punches and then get yourself in the game. But I thought there was a couple things in that second. It was 21-7 at half, and the Niners get the ball to start the second half, and they put together a great drive. Boom. 10 plays, 65 yards. Robinson gets in, and now it's 21-14. Well, now you got action, right? You have battled back from a 21-0 deficit where you were, you just couldn't do anything, right? And the Rams were doing whatever they wanted, but you were able to come back and get it to 21-14 in the third quarter. But then I thought what happened after the Robinson touchdown, that was the key. Because you had a little momentum, crowds in the game. It's a 1-score game. And then the Rams, just a huge drive. I mean, it was an answer drive. It's what really good teams do. And it was impressive. They converted to 4th and 2. There was the late hit penalty on the sidelines by the Niners. Maybe a questionable call, but still, I could see why they called it. That's 15 yards, and then Devontae Adams scores, and now it's 28-14. So it was just the Rams' ability to when momentum was swinging the Niners' way, and momentum is such a big thing in an NFL game, but the Rams just grabbed it right back, and they go up 28-14. And then here come the Niners again, and they do the same thing. Mac Jones had a terrific game. He gets in the end zone with a touchdown pass, and now it's a 1-score game again. But boom, LA, same thing, right down the field. And at that point, you could feel that you just were not going to stay with the Rams. You just couldn't do it. And in a game like that, when you're playing against a team that's hot, an offense that's hot, a quarterback that's hot, and they're scoring almost every drive, you just can't afford. You can't afford to not score on a drive. You just can't afford to. And in that first half, the Niners had the Jennings fumble, and then they had a 4th and 1 where they didn't get it. Well, that's 2 possessions right there that you don't get anything, which you can't do against a Rams team like they're playing. And you're giving the ball back to a hot team. So it's a double whammy. And that's the feeling I got in the game. It's like if you're the Niners, you're going to have to score every time. And in the second half, they did. But they turned it over twice in that first half, giving the ball back. And you just couldn't keep up. You just couldn't keep up with what's a really good Rams team. So when it was all said and done, it ended up being a little bit of a blowout. And that's probably not the right word to use, because it was a pretty close game the whole way. But 28-20, late third quarter. But then the Rams just kind of kept hammering on it. So Stafford, and man, listen, we've seen Stafford for 17 years now. He's a terrific quarterback. He's a Hall of Famer, but he may now be the leading MVP candidate in the NFL. I don't know. What do you guys think? Today he was 24 for 36, 280 yards, 4 touchdowns, hit 8 different receivers. Listen, I love the NFL. I love watching the games. I'm not a X's and O's expert guy. I'm really not. But does anybody do play action better than Stafford? I mean, it just works. It works for him. It seems to work better for him than other quarterbacks. And the Rams, they got Adams and Puka Nacua, who's the terrific wide receivers, but they're using this 3 tight end set thing, and you can't stop it because he's throwing to the tight ends as well, even when there's 3 of them out there. Again, I'm not an X's and O's expert, but I did notice that, and I noticed that it was working a lot up and down the field. So Stafford now, after today, has 25 touchdowns and 2 interceptions in 10 games. So he certainly could be the top MVP candidate. And today, too, congratulations to him. 400th career touchdown pass today. So he becomes the 9th quarterback in NFL history to get to 400 touchdown passes. So to me, that he was the story today, and he's hot. He's hot, and the Rams are very good. Mac Jones' numbers were terrific. 33 for 39. He gets the ball out quick, which you get the ball out quick. 319 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did throw a pick. But Mac Jones was not the issue. The defense just couldn't stop Stafford. But Mac Jones, again, 33 for 39. So he only threw 6 incomplete passes. Kittle had a big day, kind of maybe a breakout, that first big game for Kittle. He had 9 catches. McCaffrey was quiet, only 30 rushing yards, but he did catch 8 passes. He's always going to be in the mix. But it was a tough day for the Niners. They couldn't get their running game going. And the Rams are a complete team. They play good defense. And, we saw today their offense is when it's hot, is almost unstoppable. And we saw it today. A couple things that are a little disturbing. A couple turnovers today by the 49ers. And anytime you have a turnover, it hurts, right? It's such a momentum shift in a game. But the 49ers are now, their turnover differential now, and I always look at the turnover differential for teams. I think it's kind of a big deal, but they are at -8. -8 in the turnover differential department. That's not good. The Rams, on the other hand, are a +7 after today, and the Rams didn't have any penalties. So Rams win the turnover battle, and they do not have any penalties. Now, think about that. But the -8 turnover differential for the Niners is that's a thing. That's a thing. So when it's all said and done, so what else happened today in the NFC West? Well, the Seattle Seahawks now, they're a thing. They won their 4th row. So the Rams have won 4 in a row. The Seahawks have won 4 in a row. They beat Arizona today up in Seattle, 44-22. So, I mean, remember about 3 weeks ago, we were talking about there's nobody really jumping out in the NFC and standing up and saying, we're the best team in the NFC. A lot of good teams, but nobody was really doing that. And I don't know that anybody's doing it yet. Philadelphia is good. I don't know that they've stood up. Detroit's good. The Green Bay's good, but they're a little up and down, a little inconsistent. Tampa Bay was a big deal for a while, but now they're falling back down to 6-3. So, heck, Seattle and the Rams, you could probably make the argument that those two teams, they could be the best two teams in the NFC. That's how well they're playing right now. And again, this could change in 2 weeks, right? But you got to give those two teams credit. Unfortunately, they're in the same division as the Niners, but they're both hot. So what happens now? Well, with Seattle winning 4 in a row, they're 7-2. The Rams winning 4 in a row, they're 7-2, and the Niners are now 6-4. Okay, that gets us to next week, which should be interesting because it's right back into the division again with these 4 teams. Niners are at the Cardinals. Remember, Niners beat the Cardinals 16-15 earlier in the year. When the Niners were winning these tight games, and that was one of them. And the Seahawks and the Rams will play next Sunday in Los Angeles. So that's probably the game of the week. Definitely the game of the week. Seattle at the Rams. First matchup of the year. They will also play again in week 16. So the Rams and the Seahawks tied at 7-2. They have 2 games to play against each other yet this year. So they haven't seen each other. So that'll be fun. Back in that division next week, and we'll see what the division standings look like after the Niners and the Cardinals play, Seahawks and the Rams play. But again, that's next weekend. And right now, the Niners are a game and a half back of those two teams. And the NFC, still murky. A big game tomorrow night. The Eagles in Green Bay to play the Packers. That's a big game. So there's a chance there for one of those two teams to flex their muscles a little bit. We'll see which one does it. So anyways, that's sort of a wrap up on the Niners and what happened today at Levi Stadium. It was not good, but boy, you got to give the Rams credit. I think they're a very good team, and they showed it today. So hope you enjoyed the NFL segment. I'm going to check on a couple more comments, and then we're going to get the heck out of here. Let's see. A lot of talk about okay, there's one more. When we get a super chat, we have to answer it. Super chat is when somebody like Bake That Dough checks in. So we're gonna finish with a Giants question. Thoughts on the Giants' interest in Devin Williams? John Morosi mentioned on his show a few days ago. Yeah, I think it's a possibility. I do. Devin Williams, the reliever, had some great years in Milwaukee. Went to the Yankees, kind of up and down this year. But when he's right, he's terrific. He just I don't know that he was ever right in New York, but when he was with the Brewers, he was nasty. Great changeup. I absolutely think that this is somebody the Giants will pursue. Probably wouldn't be a monster contract, which they need their bullpen reworked. And this is a guy when he's right, he's the closer. He's a closer for you. So they're gonna need more than just him to remake that bullpen. But I don't think that would be a terrible place to start. I'm sure Yankees fans will laugh and say he's awful, but that's there's a track record there, and there was a period of time where he was pretty darn good. So yeah, I would keep Devin Williams in mind if you're a Giants fan. I think that I think that's not out of the question at all. So anyways, that's it. You know what? I'm going to wrap this thing up. I appreciate everybody checking in. Got some manager talk in. Hopefully we'll get some more news on the Giants and that coaching staff. Looking forward to seeing who they bring in. And again, the Niners next week at Arizona. I think we'll be back with you probably Wednesday night. I'm going to try to do a live stream on Wednesday night. So I'll let you guys will know certainly. And that's it. So I hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks everybody. I appreciate it. Remember, hit the subscribe button. We love the subscribers. We are now closing in on 9,000 subscribers. It's crazy. It's crazy. And I like to say, I couldn't do it without you guys. So I appreciate it. Love all you guys. Hope you enjoyed the show. And we'll see you on Wednesday night with another edition of the Glen Kuiper Show. Have a good one, everybody.